All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with Vegas. Oh, dear Lord. Can you believe, ladies and gentlemen, how quick this year has gone? It's been over 20 rounds for these guys, and we're nearly here. 3 races to go, with 1 sprint race left as well. Now, we've all been going on about the way can Verstappen bring it back. And I honestly think this is his last chance. The real last chance. Now, I know I've even been harping on about, well, this can happen. Now, I've tried to be very, very realistic too. I've been saying it's a long shot. And it is. It's a bloody long shot here, okay? The guy's 49 points behind Lando Norris. Oscar Piastri is 24 behind Lando Norris, with 3 races to go. Now, here's the thing. I've been saying for months that Vegas could be a very, very positive and a domination track for Red Bull and Verstappen. Because the way their car has been behaving at Monza, Azerbaijan, with long straights, they're seeming to dominate because they're able to open up those engines, right? Those engines in that car are lightning fast. And they can still hold and stabilize the grip in the corners, okay? Now, the corners aren't hugely complicated at Monza and Azerbaijan for what type of setup they have. Now, Vegas kind of comes into the same level here. And I think if this was a couple of years ago with Verstappen, these guys, I would be saying, no, they're struggling. You know, they'll probably struggle. I wouldn't be getting too carried away or too hopeful for Verstappen, even when he was at his domination for the last 4 years in a row. But the thing is, the way their car has been slightly off keel here, slightly off balance in the terms of the car is a straight line car now. I've seen this so many times in all my career that you can have a car, whether it's Formula 4, 2, 3, or even Formula 1, the same principles apply. It doesn't matter. It is irrelevant. It's always the same principles apply. You can have a car that's really good in tight, twisty corners or fast corners, but then it's dog crap on the straight. Or you can have it vice versa. Or you can simply have a car that's just really good in all areas, right? But Verstappen's car has seemed to gone into that lane here where it's not as stable as the McLarens, going through high speed, keeping the speed up, right, twisty, turny, but they've got it on the straights. And this is where I'm hopeful. And on the flip side, you've got McLaren. They finished 6th and 7th here last year, lads, if you remember. 6th and 7th, okay? So for us here, this is great. I mean, it keeps the game interesting here, all right? I'm not getting blown away here, but this is Verstappen's last chance saloon here. This is it. Because even let's say he wins this weekend, he'll get 25 points, and guess what? He's still what is it? He'll be 24 points behind? Hang on. Heavy math now, Peter. Come on. He'll be 49 minus 25. He'll be 24 points behind. So he's still a race win behind, pretty much. Right? But stranger things have happened. Now, I know you might be saying, Peter, look, all right, you're just trying to hype this. No, I'm not, lads. I'm not. I'm trying to be realistic here as well, all right? I really am. Because it is a bloody long shot too. But if there's any opening, all right, this is like when the boxer drops his guard and it's your chance to pummel the guy in the face, because this is the last chance saloon. Let's get into it.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front. What a move from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Walsh. 49 points is huge. Now, we've seen strange things happen this year, haven't we? I mean, you can't completely rule it out. Look what we saw with Oscar Piastri. He was leading by 31 points at Baku, and all of a sudden, he's now trailing by 24 points. This was only a couple of races ago. It feels like only yesterday that this happened. So strange things can happen here, lads, all right? But, you know, I don't know. We're throwing in a Hail Mary here, right? You know, this is Vegas, okay? City where fortunes are made, fortunes are destroyed, you know? And not just talking about blackjack. You know, this could be the race that flips the entire championship on its head. Now, I know I'm sort of really shooting from my mouth here, Hail Mary job, right? Just because it's Vegas, it doesn't mean this or it doesn't mean that. But let's talk about the elephant in the room here, lads. McLaren's weakness, McLaren's kryptonite at Vegas. Now, it's not speculation. It's not guesswork. We saw the stats last year, like I said, you know, finishing in 6th and 7th, right? Andre Stella has himself come out publicly and admitted that, what did he say? He said Vegas last year was one of the most difficult races they've had, right? They struggled with aerodynamics and tire behavior, graining. Now, graining basically, put it in plain English, graining is basically means that the tire is not working to its full effect, all right? It's sort of, it can be jumpy, vibrating sometimes, but that's the way it could be, all right? It's kind of like having your hand flat on a table, but graining is like putting your hand, trying to put it flat on a table, but there's dust, there's rocks, there's stones underneath, and it's not sitting completely flat, okay? Weird comparison, but all right, go with me on that one. And, you know, that can be their kryptonite here. This is not a track that McLaren want to see. They're trying to hang on for dear life. Because Vegas, lads, is long straights. I know we just spoke about long DRS zones. And a real important factor here is that, but by the way, guys, I've been to Vegas, Las Vegas 18 times in my life because I used to live in LA. So I've been there, done that. I know exactly what type of weather it is in November. And we're coming into December. It is horrifically cold at nighttime. Horrifically cold at nighttime. The place is unreal. It's colder than Ireland in the wintertime when it gets to a certain point at nighttime. Right? Now, of course, it depends, and, you know, you can have different seasons and different types of years that it can be warmer or colder, right? But I'm telling you, lads, I've been there at that time of year, and it's freezing, all right? And that can be a problem because it is, you know, it is a race that's on the night. It's a problem here. It's a problem because you're struggling for grip. And if you don't get your aerodynamics correct, right? Because what you really need to have, and I'm not going to go too complicated, guys. You need to have your tires and suspension, right? Giving you the most of the grip for the car. And then you tweak your wings, okay? Your aerodynamics, okay? To get faster down the straight. Problem is, if you don't get heat in those tires and it's freezing like they say and you're struggling, you still have to go to a point where you need less wing, which gives you even less grip, okay? So you're going into quicksand, accepting that you're going into quicksand and saying, okay, well, listen, Bob, hold on to this anchor here, and he's going to sink even more. So it's almost like you have to accept that you're sinking and you're going to go down further with the ship here. I mean, that's what it's kind of like here. Because if you don't perform quick down the streets, you are screwed completely. So the only way they have is that even if they have very bad handling in the car, they're going to have to sacrifice it because they have to get down those straights. So it's terrible. It's an awful situation to be in. And, you know, cars with raw power, cars that breathe on straight lines, cars that pick up the 15 extra 20k, right? And who spent the last decade building a rocket ship designed exactly for this? Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Let's get back to the actual championship points. Yeah, and I'll repeat it again. We've been saying he's got a shot. He's got this and this, right? And we've talked about this. It's realistic, all right? That there is still a chance, but we'll see. But, you know, Max has clawed himself back from the grave as well, all right? You know, he was over 100 points behind at one stage, and now he's down to 49, right? He was well over 100 points, you know? And for it to even be still mathematically possible tells you how insane the season has been. Now, let's take the McLaren boss himself, right? You know, Andre Stella saying he's had the aerodynamic issues. When they tried to offload the rear wing, they lost too much efficiency, just like we spoke about. You know, they struggled massively with tire behavior and, as we call it, the graining, all right? And they've reviewed up all of it, they said, and they're trying to take action to improve. Because yes, they're sitting pretty here at the top of the lead, especially with Norris. They still can't afford to have these disastrous races, you know? Let's say, even if they finish 6th or 7th again this weekend, they're still collecting some points, all right? They won't be panicking. They won't be freaking. It's not good for Verstappen, of course not. Verstappen needs the two McLarens to be out of the race completely, and he goes off and takes the win. You know? Anything less, he's done for. He's done for. So McLaren, you know what? A top 5 finish, even to hell with it, even just a top 3 finish for them this weekend, they're not going to be panicking. And if they get their top 2 drivers in the top 5, that's okay. That's okay. Even if Verstappen goes on to win it. You know? They'll be very careful that they've bloody finished this race. That's for sure. They'll be giving the boys the old finger out now, lads. Make sure you bring the bloody cars home. What Andre Stella is saying, okay, if we read between the lines as well, when he's saying all this, what he's basically saying is they don't know that they've fixed the car. They're hoping they have fixed the car. They think they have fixed the car. No, it's not confidence. Of course it's not. Because you don't know until you hit the track. Now, look, you can't blame him either. You know, it kind of is a cross your fingers, cross your toes, you know, light a prayer candle and hope the car doesn't explode energy, you know? Now, meanwhile, Red Bull, they're going to be waiting, man. And if they see some bad performances here, they're going to be licking their lips. Now let's spell it out for you, right? Guys, let's spell it out for all of us here. If Verstappen wins this weekend and Norris finishes 2nd, okay, now the points now is from 49 to 42. Now, with the sprint included, he could claw back another 10 to 15. Suddenly, the impossible becomes possible, but I'm still going to write it off. You know, you'd want Norris and Piastri to have DNFs this weekend. Now, look, maybe I'm coming down too hard on this. You know, maybe I am. And, okay, if they do... See, I'm all over the shop, lads. You know, one minute I'm saying it's this, now it's that. I'm going mental here. And, you know, if you do have Norris and Piastri finishing 6th and 7th and Verstappen goes on to win, yeah, okay, you know, you're pleasantly happy. Surprised, probably. But it's got to be, man. It's got to be Vegas. I mean, this really has to come down to McLaren not finishing, both drivers, and Verstappen taking the win. Now, in terms of not finishing races, now this is where I'm a little bit more positive here, because... let's be honest, we just watched Oscar Piastri dunk it into the wall at Baku. No points. We've had Norris with a DNF, no points. We've had Piastri throw away 15 points in Brazil just with a damp curb. So, like, the mistakes are starting to rack up here. And the mechanical stuff is starting to rack up here, you know? You know, we're seeing Norris spinning his head over press criticism like a TikTok influencer. You know, pressure can do weird things. Now, is this a sign of a lot of pressure coming down on the two drivers? Maybe. I mean, it's very strange what's going on here, lads. Very strange. You know, people can become different animals under pressure. You know, some rise some crumble. And, I've seen it with my own eyes, back in my days. Sometimes the car doesn't win, your head wins. Okay, lads. So before we get to the track, we're going to look at the track, right, and see how the track is going to fare out and where they can really capitalize. So we'll get to that in just a moment here. But here it is, lads. Cards on the table. Real talk. Let's go predictions, okay? I'm going to say Verstappen's going to be bloody quick this weekend. I think Red Bull are bringing the big guns. McLaren can be vulnerable. Now, of course, this could be unbelievably, insanely wrong by me. Now, George Russell won last year. Mercedes could absolutely throw a spanner in the works here. No question. It was a bit of a monster last year at Vegas. And if Norris wins the title, he won't win it this weekend. It's mathematically impossible, okay? So let's just get that off and done with. I've gone through the permutations. In fact, I even went through it there just on Monday gone. But he won't win it in Vegas. So, if anything, he could lose it in Vegas. Because let's go Piastri. If Piastri takes the win, that's 25 points. Norris, let's say he crashes out, he's just lost 24. So Piastri will be ahead by 1 now. Jeez. But, Oscar Piastri, don't sleep on him. That guy's a silent shark. I'm not sure. I'm very cagey about, is he okay under pressure? I don't know. No, he's not crying about betrayal by the press. He's not rattled by that. He's hunting. All he needs is an opening. One mistake, one mechanical issue. Hell, even one safety car can change the whole thing. And bang, championship flips. Here we go. 3 races, 1 sprint, a lifetime of work possibly coming down to 1 corner, 1 strategy call, 1 pit stop. Will McLaren get through their kryptonite? Will Red Bull get their dominance back? Will Max Verstappen pull off a comeback for the ages? Because make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to Formula 1, or if you've been watching all your life, I think you'd find it hard to argue with me that if Max Verstappen pulls off and wins the championship, it will be the greatest comeback in Formula 1 of all time. No question. It would be an event. It would be an experience to witness this. It'll go down in the history books. But he has to capitalize this weekend. He has to. I honestly think that this has to be the make or break now. That's it. Okay, lads. Let's take a look at the track. So, lads, 6.201 kilometers of a track. Awesome spectacle. I can't even imagine what this atmosphere is here like for this. The first Grand Prix a couple of years ago in 2023, and it's just exploded. It's going to be a 50-lap race. Fastest lap, 34.876. And guys, what a place to go. The first Grand Prix in Vegas, actually, lads, was under Caesar's Palace Grand Prix moniker, believe it or not. In 81 and 82, it played host to the final season, or the season finale, on both occasions, right? Alan Jones winning the 81 race, which was awesome. And the circuit, guys, very, very cold place, right? It's kind of like a temple of speed, like Monza. Okay, these big long straights are insane, insane. And turn 12, that is the place that you need to really, really capitalize, okay? Because turn 12, you get out of there, get a nice run through, keep the smoothness, keep the rhythm, keep the momentum up. You've got that huge long straight down, and they say this next left king 13 is a corner. It's not a corner, it's flat out. So it's all the way down into 14. And guys, if you don't have your car set up properly for this track, in other words, what we spoke about, if your mechanical grip, your tires, suspension, if that grip is off, you then have to still get your car down this long bloody straight and make sure that you don't even lose more time. But of course the problem in there is that taking off less wing, less grip, therefore you're going to go struggling more. So you have to just accept your take the hit on the face and just go. Guys, this is it. Now, last prediction. I'm going to try and be hopeful here on this one. Normally I try and give a realistic as in, look, come on, this is going to happen. I'm going to go with Verstappen for the win, Russell second, Antonelli third. I hope I'm right. Maybe you don't think hope I'm right. Anyway, guys, we'll see you on Monday for the reaction of the Grand Prix. Talk to you then.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front. What a move from fifth all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Walsh.